Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be talking about possibly one of the worst aspects of the monetization model of World of Tanks, and that is suffering through stock grinds. Now, it's nothing new. From the very beginning of World of Tanks, when you unlock your vehicles for the first time, you realize they're not all quite what you thought they were going to be. But slowly but surely, as you manage to grind your way through the experience, or you just get out your wallet and you throw your credit card at it to be able to convert some free experience, the tank becomes finally the vehicle that you wanted it to be. Today, I'm playing in the T-34-1. This is a Tier 7 Chinese medium tank that, when it's fully upgraded with its fabulous 100mm gun and great turret armor, is actually really awesome. However, I'm in a bit of a situation right now, and that is that I'm using the stock 85mm gun on this tank with 126mm of penetration. Not too good for Tier 7, and even if I load the gold, I have 167mm of pen. Now, today's video is not going to be necessarily about the T-34-1. I really want to dig deep about some of my top tips for being able to reduce the suffering in World of Tanks and trying to make those grinds just a little bit easier. Again, without having to just get your credit card out, convert some gold, and being able to have it just like that, right? Okay, so firstly, I want to talk about the things that everybody can do. Firstly, you can make use of those 3x experience boosts if you're lucky enough to have a premium account. Now, of course, not everybody can have a premium account in World of Tanks, but definitely as a free-to-play player, and you can see that I'm playing on my Plays for Free account, the amount of days of premium that Wargaming are giving us, if you just either complete missions or you manage to take part in events, you tune into drops on Twitch, or even if you manage to take part in the Blitztrager game mode recently and you open up one of the free Harrier boxes, you can get some premium days out of that. I had some of my audience telling me that they've played the Blitztrager mode quite a lot and they managed to get for free a Tier 8 premium tank and I think about 30 days of premium from it. Although they probably played quite a lot, to say the least, and maybe also got quite lucky with those drops, because I have not managed to get nearly so much. It's beside the point. Use those 3x experience bonuses on your stock vehicles. Look, I know it's painful to try and actually get a win to be in a stock tank to be able to then use the 3x bonus, but they can really add up. Other things that you can make use of are the top of the tree events. Once a month, well, I guess twice a month, every 2 weeks, a new vehicle is added to top of the tree. You can use that to be able to deal damage in the vehicle, and then you can get, like, I think 6,500 experience added to any vehicle. And if you can do that in a stock tank, that's absolutely fabulous. But more importantly, your second win of the day in a stock tank is a 5x experience game, which is, or any tank, any tank down the line, every single day. And that can really accelerate your progress. If you can be bothered to log into World of Tanks every day and play for, say, like half an hour during the top of the tree, even if you're busy, you can make some real nice progress with your top of the tree events in that way. And that's exactly what I was doing with my T-34-1, I believe. I think this was top of the tree. Either that or I'm just going crazy during the last mission marathon. So one of the next ones I want to talk about is, whether you like it or not, gold rounds are available for everyone. The reason why I call them gold rounds now, long story short, is because really to be able to afford to fire them consistently, you have to have a premium account and premium tanks usually to be able to afford the gigantic amount of credits to be able to consistently fire them. However, everybody still has access to them, irrelevant of what status you are, if you're a complete free-to-play player, or alternatively, if you're the biggest whale out there. And so make use of them in your stock tanks. Play some of your elite vehicles, get a load of credits together, and then just make those kind of stock tanks, in the situations that you need, just a little bit sweeter. And it's far better to penetrate gold rounds than it is to bounce regular rounds, especially when you're trying to get experience in your stock vehicles and you're kind of undergunned. And in this kind of a situation where it looks like I've got 2 vehicles above me and a bunch of vehicles coming in behind me, I was feeling a little bit pressured here. Luckily for me, it looks like the Progetto is going to put some pressure up on the Su-130PM, and we're going to go to town on this T-34-85. And you're seeing that even our low penetration here, our high DPM along with it is actually working out quite well. And now hopefully I can go hold down with my turret, maybe just try and dig in, use some of the hit points that I have, bounce the Excalibur, and turn the game around in this scenario. The T-34 one is absolutely fabulous for just holding the line. But look, I digress. I'm trying to focus on what counts, and that is to try and give you as many tips and trips. I'm not trying to trip you up. I'm trying to avoid you tripping up and just getting your credit card out and being able to convert some of that experience off. So, firing gold, whether you like it or not, I know it's something that a lot of people are going to think, well, is that really that good of a solution? Look, World of Tanks is not perfect, and sometimes you've got to play a little bit dirty, even if you're a free-to-play player, to be able to get through the horrible situations that you have to face. Next, I want to talk about something that's only been available recently, and that is that you can buy improved hardening to be able to skip the tracks on tanks. If you use improved hardening, a feature that a module that used to be available, but it was a really uncompetitive module because all it did was increase your load capacity, and that just seems absolutely wild to do. The improved hardening now actually makes your durability better, and it improves your load capacity. So that means you can actually skip tracks on tanks. That's incredibly useful on vehicles that have terrible guns, and you don't want to have to waste the 10, 20, 15,000 experience on being able to unlock the tracks on a tank before you can go on and really get your teeth into the guns, which what matters. If you buy them when they're discounted, or alternatively, if you get them for rewards from events, or you manage to get them for doing your daily missions, you can actually put them on vehicles and then destroy them. I know you're going to lose 100 to 300,000 credits, but on some tanks it's totally worth it because you can't even use the guns or the turrets until you have that increased load capacity. But be warned, however, that if you don't feel like you can skip the tracks altogether, because you're probably going to have an inferior module in an equipment slot on a tank, which is very important, and also tracks do things like terrain resistances, which will allow you to be able to get places quicker or be able to maintain your speed, your tank's traverse speed, and also sometimes even your dispersion value, so you're going to be less accurate on the move if you're using stock tracks. Next up, I'm going to talk about free experience and the ways that you can get free experience that isn't just throwing the credit card at your monitor or just spending the gold that you've managed to get in whatever purpose that you've managed to get that gold. You get 5% experience of whatever you receive. So if you manage to get 10,000 experience from a single game of World of Tanks with a 5 times experience result, you're actually going to end up getting 500 free experience. That's pretty nice. If you have one of those like hero games during your 5 times experience events or the top of the trees, then you can use that. Another way that you can do it is you can actually boost your free experience with free experience boosters and just save it up and be really a bit of a miser when it comes to spending your free experience. I didn't spend it on this gun because I thought, I can invest it in other ways on other tanks, and I thought that I could make this stock gun work just by being a little bit careful or alternatively loading a few extra gold rounds. The next thing that I would recommend to do is thinking about how you use your blueprints. Now, it's not something that everybody has, but you'll be quite surprised if you look and you have a good chunk of blueprints on some of the lines. What you can do is use blueprints to skip entire tanks that have cheap modules that lead on to the next vehicle. So, for example, for the AMX 65T, the French Tier 8 heavy tank that I'd say is probably one of the worst vehicles tier for tier in the game, it has a gun that's available on the 5100, so you could manage to, if you've already got that vehicle, then all you have to do is actually spend about 15,000 free experience to buy the turret, and then you could use blueprints to get the AMX Emily 51, which is one of the best tanks tier for tier in the game. And it also comes with its best gun, the 120mm, as the stock gun on it. And you'd be able to skip one terrible tank and then go straight into a very efficient stock vehicle with just those blueprints. And finally, I want to talk about the most important thing that you need to do in your stock tanks. That is, number one, don't think that you're going to have good results. Lower your expectations massively. And I'm not saying don't aim to be able to do as well as you can, but don't beat yourself up if it doesn't happen. As I've said in my previous videos, in some of my stock tanks on my free-to-play account, I'm lucky if I can get 40% wins, whereas on my main account, I'm winning like 2/3 of my games when I've got the vehicle fully elited with a really good crew. But more importantly than that, play the tank as if it is stock. Do you have a weak turret? Then don't go hull down. Do you have a gun that has really low alpha damage, but maybe it's actually got quite a good rate of fire? For example, on this tank, as we saw in this game, the 85mm on this vehicle actually has better damage per minute, but way worse penetration than the 100mm on this tank. Accordingly, if you've got low pen and low alpha damage, but a great rate of fire with a stock gun, sometimes your DPM is high. Try and isolate an opponent and try and go all in and get its side, or play as a support vehicle and flank with a friend. Maybe you've got a stock turret and you've got some poor view range on a vehicle. Think about using binoculars even to be able to pump up that view range. And everybody, any tank, even a stock vehicle, can be a proficient scout in the right situation. Maybe not your super heavy Germans or your super heavy Japanese tanks, but hopefully you know what I'm suggesting. And consequently, if you try and turn your vehicle's weaknesses into your vehicle's strengths, sometimes, don't get me wrong, this isn't going to happen every time, you can end up with some awesome results. 1,544 base experience for our stock gunned T-34-1 here is enough to be able to get an ace tanker. And while we did fire some gold because we were completing missions, we actually would have broken even, or even slightly made credits even without a premium account. Now look, I'd like to clarify that I'm not trying to forgive wargaming for what is, for some things that are unforgivable inside the game. For example, with the tier 5 Polish medium tank, the 25 TP, you can't even use the stock gun, well, the upgraded guns that you earned from the previous vehicles on the next gun. And I can tell you, trying to play a tier 5 medium tank with 52mm of penetration and 50 alpha damage was game-breakingly awful. I couldn't do anything, even though while I'm not the best player of World of Tanks, I think I can play a game or two at least occasionally. There are some things undoubtedly that wargaming should be absolutely ashamed of when it comes to stock vehicles. And while I'm by no means defending wargaming or trying to justify it, trust me, I've been frothing at the mouth, furious rage on my free-to-play account trying to get through my stock grinds, occasionally at least. Hopefully this video and the tips and tricks that I gave you throughout will help you with some of those vehicles without just allowing wargaming to frustrate you so much that you throw the credit card, you convert that free experience, and then you play the tanks as they're meant to be played. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for today. Really hope this video was useful. If you liked the ideas, give it a thumbs up. And if you've got any other good ones, throw them in the comments section down below. But if you hated the video, make sure you give it a thumbs down as well. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Saturday or Sunday, I have drops enabled on my Twitch channel for both of those days. So you can come along, get yourself some premium consumables and maybe sell them and then use those credits to buy some gold rounds in your stock tanks. Or alternatively, you can get yourself a unique style that looks like this if you can be bothered to put up with me for 4 hours, or if you leave me on in the background over the next couple of days. Anyway, have a lovely weekend, whatever you get up to. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.